all, it's Najia, editorial director of Daybreak Press, coming at you live from Detroit Airport, where I am preparing to go visit my parents. I wanted to give you a quick couple of tidbits about characterization this week. So when you're describing a character, one of the worst things to do is to just simply, run off a list of what they look like. When I do writing workshops, we always have an activity where I have the students or the writers pick out a picture from a magazine so that they can they're boarding my flight, so now I'm distracted. I have them pick out a picture from a magazine so that they can describe that person. But the catch is they're not allowed to say anything about how they look. They're not allowed to say if they're white, they're black, they're long hair, short hair, black hair, brown hair, anything at all about how they physically look. And that's always a really interesting exercise, because then what we do is we have everyone else in the class try to guess what the person looks like by listening to their description. So it tells a lot about how you can describe what people, like the essence of people, and you can even get across what they look like just by saying other things than actually how they look. One of the things that is easy to use to describe your characters is their clothing. So say you have, for example, a guy who's wearing a sweater and a sweater vest with a checkered shirt underneath and slacks and loafers. And then you have another guy who's wearing a flannel shirt and jeans and work boots. These two people bring to mind completely different essence, a completely different way of being in the world, right? Another thing about clothes is thinking. Okay, sorry, I'm just gonna go with this because I gotta get this done. No pressure, right? Okay, so another thing about clothes, you can think about women. What do you have? A woman with a skirt and a shirt, or a skirt and a sweater, or you have a woman who's has a ponytail and sweats and sweatpants, right? So those are two different kinds of people. Language is another thing you can use to describe your characters. What kind of language do they use? Do they say, how are you faring this evening, sir? Or do they say, yo, what's up? Right? So these are two completely different kinds of people. Another thing you can use linguistically is catchphrases. Do you have a character who says all the time, oh, I just can't even? Or a character who says things like, heavens to Betsy. See how in your mind you're picturing completely different people just by having described each of the things that I've said. You know nothing about, their hair color or their eye color or their height, but you kind of get an essence of who the person is. Another one is moves. Like how does the person move? Do they have a limp? How did they get that limp? Does it bother them? Does how they walk show you whether it bothers them or not? Are they always hurrying, always hurrying, always hurrying? They're nervous, they're always behind, they're always late, they're rushing. Or are they always looking over their shoulder? Maybe they're furtive, or maybe they're trying to be stealthy, or maybe they're afraid. So these kind of actions and the way people move can also be a way of showing instead of telling about your character. And the last one is how they spend their time. Do they spend their time baking with their grandkids? Do they spend their time going clubbing? Do they spend their time binge watching TV? All of these things not only describe your character, not only does it describe your character, but it also gives you kind of a basis for conflict. Because if your plot gets going and whatever happens in the plot helps you or forces your character out of their normal routine, then you have set the stage for growth. Or you've set the stage for serious conflict, or you've set the stage for maybe what do you call it? Instead of growth, what's the opposite of growth? Opposite of growth is when little kids have a little baby sister, they always not revert. Regress. Yeah, maybe you've set the stage for regression before the growth. So all of those things are things to think about, ways to show how your character is, show how your character feels, instead of what your character looks like. And I'll catch you again next week with another vlog with tips for NaNoWriMo. See you later. Mwah.